Good morning from Vilamoura. We are here for 70 World Championships, day number 2. Yesterday we have 3 races. We are going into the 4th race today. We'll start in something like 10 minutes. My name is Pedro Andrade. I will be commentating the racing today, and we have here with us Mr. Luigi Bertini from Italy. He is the rule advisor for the Italian team, and he will help us a little bit to understand what's going on. If there's any incidents in the water, he will be able to explain a little bit the rules. Thank you for joining us today, Luigi.
My pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be in Vilamoura again. It's a nice place. We are always happy to be here.
So you have been coming here for some time already with the teams to get your preparation?
No, I have been here as judge because I am an international judge also, and I've been here as part of the jury in the previous year for some events. So I had the chance to enjoy Vilamoura already.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope we have a great day racing. We've seen the conditions, as you said. Before the forecast was for very light winds, but we do have a nice breeze out there. We can see here Portuguese and the women American team now lining up together also with the Swedish Anton. They're trying their equipment for the start, and it's better breeze than we expected, Luigi.
Yeah. The meteo for today was a very light wind. I think the teams in the early morning today, they set the boat, they rigged the boat with a very light wind, but apparently now they have to change because the wind is much more than expected. But it's good. When the meteo forecast is wrong in the direction, to have more wind is good.
That's right. That's perfect. That's what we want. We want them to be wrong when they forecast no wind. So this is exactly what we had today. Conditions are great. We are going to go for the 4th race. Today we will follow the women race number 4. There was a small delay on the start due to the wind conditions to get more established, but we can see here the course is in place. We see the gate, the leeward gate there, and we see all the teams now getting ready, doing their warm-up. And also checking the course to see where the pressure is, if there's better pressure on the right or on the left. If it's as gusty as yesterday, I assume that today we have about 10 knots coming from the land. Last readings we've got was through 320, 330. It's breeze coming from the land, so very patchy, very shifty.
Yeah, as always one, because the wind is bouncing on the shore and is coming out with a different angle. So
yes, that's right. So
it's always shifting.
So the sailors will have to be very sharp.
Yeah, very sharp, especially if they are taking towards the shore, because then they will have many changes of wind and many changes of the ley line to go to the windward mark.
That's right. We have here a beautiful shot from the land. This camera is on the race office building. And great footage from the race course. They are about 1.5 miles out. Beautiful sailing conditions today.
Yeah.
It's quite warm. It's better than yesterday. Yesterday was a bit chilly, huh?
Yesterday was chilly, especially in the afternoon. All the teams went ashore quite cold. But now it looks much better than yesterday. It looks much warm.
So let's see how it will be for today.
This is the Italian team. This is the main Italian team. It's Giacomo Ferrari and Giulio Calabrò.
Yes,
they are going to the Olympic team for the 470 men. Yeah, they are qualified already, and inside the Italian qualification also.
And this is the Brazilian women team, Fernanda Oliveira. She was a bronze medalist, I believe, in China?
In China.
That's correct.
And now she's back.
And Anna Barbashin. I hope I spelled the names right. Because some of these names are a bit complicated.
Yeah, well, we will know if they are right when they will be back ashore.
Yes, that's correct. So we yesterday with the girls' fleet, women's fleet. After 3 races, we had the French. They're looking really strong, aren't they, Luigi? Camille and Aloise.
Yes.
They had 2 races that they had the first place and the second place. And the last race with some shifts before the start, they didn't manage to get off that starting line that well. They struggled to get up.
Yeah, but then now they are counting only the good scoring, so they have 3 points in total.
Yes,
And
with
they
the
are first.
discards, they are only counting the first and the second, so they are 3 points. And they are followed by the Spanish team, Silvia and Patricia. They had a 5th, they won the second race, and they had an 8th place on the last race, so they're discarding that race, that score, so they're 6 points, so 3 points behind the French.
Another 3 points, there is the Italian team, Elena Berta and Bianca Caruso, one of the 2 female team here.
And they are obviously qualified for the Olympics as well.
This is our internal qualification series.
Okay, so
So the other team is
Benedetta and Alessandra?
Yes, it's Benedetta and Alessandra.
and they are lying 15th.
And they are lying 15. Yes, they had not the best day yesterday, but we are confident that they will do it better today.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So just to explain a little bit to our spectators, the qualifying for the Olympics, each country are allowed 1 team per class, and that is qualified through some international regattas. But then internally, obviously, each federation needs to choose which team will compete in the Olympics.
Yeah, it's 2 steps. The first step is to qualify the country.
That's right.
For that boat. And the second step is internally of the country to decide who is going to represent the country.
That's correct. So that's what's happening, for example, with Italy, because they already have their passport for the Olympics for 1 team, and they are using this regatta as an internal qualifying.
Correct.
For their team. So we have 3 different fights here in this championship, because there are some teams that already qualified internally and the slot for the country, and they are fighting to get the best result they can. But also countries that haven't got
and they needed to qualify even for the continental slot.
For the continental slot, that's right. So we have also teams fighting, some countries fighting within themselves for that remaining slot.
Yeah, obviously all the teams that are ahead of the teams that wanted to qualify the spot, they are not counting for the selection.
That's correct.
So the first team not qualified yet will catch the spot.
That's right. So that fight, as I understand, in the women's division is Ukraine, Russia, and Turkey.
Yeah, because mostly they had no chance to make any qualification before because the COVID restriction.
Yes. So if they get the slot here, whoever is in front from that country will get automatically also the internal qualification.
Exactly.
Yes. So I think we got that clear. So obviously here in the front of the fleet we have the French and the Spanish that are already qualified both internationally and internally.
Yes.
And then we have the Italians that obviously they want to win the World Championship, but their priority for the moment might be to beat the other Italian teams.
No, the priority is to win the championship.
Yeah, because if they win the championship,
you
they
win
beat
both.
the other Italian. That's correct. Yes, very good point. So
otherwise it's too easy, because you can finish 21 and your opponent 22 and you are qualified.
Yes,
but
that's
we
right.
don't want that one. We want to
of course
stay ahead.
So you, in your opinion, let me guess, who are the favorites to win this regatta?
No one in my eyes. I like all the team, all the Italian team, and I'm supporting all the Italian team.
Yeah, but it's for sure the favorites are the Italians to win. Either Elena and Bianca or...
what I said is I'm supporting all the Italian team.
Yes.
So I'm...
Both of them.
Both of them. This is Alicia, Russian, with a new letter number on the sail, because before Russia was RUS.
Yes.
From this year they became RYS, that is Russian Yachting Union. Russian Yacht Federation.
Just to interrupt you for a second, it looks like we are on the starting procedure here.
Yeah, we have already the Oscar positive. That means the wind is
Yes.
above the limit for free pumping.
And we also have the U flag up, so
We
we are
have the U flag
actually
up.
less than 4 minutes for the start. We are missing here the countdown. We are at the pre-start of race number 4 for the women fleet.
Seems the wind is a bit on the right side. If you can see the flag, they are not on the same line of the mooring of the boat. They are a bit on the right. So seems that we have actually a small wind change on the right side of the course.
We are going to try and find out how far to this start we are. At the moment, the teams are still trying to organize their positions. It doesn't look like we are too close to the start.
No.
This is the 1 minute gun.
Okay, now they will approach the line, trying to stay in the best position to have room leeward, to bear away and to gain speed at the moment of the start.
I can see the Great Britain team, Hannah Mills, a little bit closer to the pin end. Now we have this perspective from the pin. It looks like there are more boats on the committee boat, looking from the pin. So, as you said, there might be a little right shift, and normally when that happens, the teams try to get closer to the committee boat.
You can see from this footage that all the boats are close to the race committee, and there is a big hole going downwind to the pin end.
Yes.
Crown
Big
at the
fight
start
here for
on
the
the right
committee
side.
boat, not far to go, just a few seconds. The Ukrainians here with a good position to win the boat, to win the committee side.
It's a clear star apparently from our side.
It is a clear start. Germany 69 winners of race number 3 with a great start again here.
Yeah.
On race number 4.
Germany, Slovenia, and obviously the Italian team and some Swiss team went this winter to make a long month of coaching in Sicily.
I can hear a sound signal.
No, it's from there.
No, it's a clear start. It's definitely a clear start. Nobody was over the line. We here have the other side of the course, the boats that are going into the left. We have also the other German team looking good. Nadine Boehm and Anne-Christine Goliath also in a good position there. It feels like they have a bit more right hand shift than the Turks here.
Yeah.
Beste and Okeanos.
Seems much better on the right side. They are heading much higher.
Yes. And the problem with starting at the pin when you don't have as much right as the other boats to windward is that you're never able to tack and have a good crossing, because you will always be heading as you go into port.
The chance to start on the pin is that you need to build so much speed to be able to gain so much ahead of the other boat to tack and to clear ahead of all the rest of the fleet. It's the only chance if the wind is on the right shift.
Well, and also if the boats to windward have a more right-hand shift than them, it makes life even harder. Huh?
And also when you will tack, you will be on port, crossing in front or towards the fleet that is all on starboard.
We just saw here the French team tacking back to the left. Looks like they have a nice right-hand shift.
I think all of them will tack soon, because here seems that the bow are going down and they will need to go again on starboard.
Well, the Turkish actually they managed to cross a few boats, so maybe they had a little left-hand shift to get back into the game. Yeah, we can see the boat coming on starboard, tacking underneath them, probably also hitting that left shift. We have here Elena and Bianca pushing the left side. Now we're back into the right-hand side of the course. So the Greeks, Emilia Tsufla, she is a very experienced sailor from Greece. She was Olympic gold medalist in 2004, and she is now sailing with Ariane Paraskevi, a very young girl, 20 years old. Emilia Tsufla is 48.
It's a strange combination. There is a very high difference in age.
Yeah, I had a really good conversation with Emily this morning.
The fleet is becoming to be a bit spreaded now. This is Benedetta and Alessandra beating on the left side of the course. Ah no, sorry, this is Italy 6, it's Elena and Bianca.
Elena and Bianca, they are pushing
on the left
very
side.
hard on the left, hoping for a left-hand shift that gets them to sail on a better angle on port deck across the fleet, see if they can cross some of the teams. We can see, there they go. It looks like the left is getting a bit better. If we can see here, they're not in the front of the fleet. Both Italian teams actually on this side of the course. I think this is the head of the fleet here with the Swedes and both German teams. Both German teams were first and second on the last race yesterday, doing a really good job here on race number 4.
And now they are second and third apparently.
They might be a little bit to windward of the Swedes because the perspective here.
Yeah, but when Swedish will tack to go to the mark, will be on starboard.
Yeah, we can see the Swedes and the Germans on the left side of your screen on the far end. They're getting across to the right-hand side. The Italians now, you can see the bow going down. It was a header. They go straight into attack. Try to get the best out of this little left hand shift. If it stays like that, they will be looking much better. But if it goes back to the right, they might run into a little problem.
I think it's very shifty today because I saw the boats moving a lot up and down all the time. I think it's quite shifty there. It's very tricky for them.
It's very important, you know, to keep the eyes off the boat, to see when is the next puff, the next wind shift. We can see, look at the Swedish now. They run into a big right-hand shift, straight into attack.
And Brazil
the Brazilians
also
as well hit the shift, hit the right-hand shift. We will see the bow of those German teams coming down towards us. That means a right-hand shift.
Here it is.
Germany 69 already tacking underneath.
And
I think that boat on the far left is actually the Italians.
Yeah.
That they were looking good on the left-hand side. They are very high on port, and this
Germany has to tack.
these teams here on the right very high on starboard.
We can see the windward mark in front of us, or possibly is the offset mark there.
That's another mark. I think the upwind mark is still a little bit
On the
further
right side, yeah. So that means that that is the offset mark.
I think that is not at the moment they are still lying. It might be the offset, yes, for the outer course, yeah, outer loop. So this is leg number 1, race 4 for the women's division. We have at the moment, it's the first leg, we have at the moment the Swedish team leading the fleet, Olivia and Lovisa. Going for another attack. The Italians, I tell you something, the Italians are looking really strong from the left. They might actually make a move. There's big pressure on the left and they are crossing most of the fleet. They might be leading the fleet here. You see the big left shift here. The Italians, they made a really good move on the left hand side with good pressure. So the wind shifted to the left and that gave the opportunity for the boats on the left to come across on a better angle to the mark, to the top mark. So I believe now it's Italy and Argentina in second place. See here the Polish getting into a right-hand shift, attacking.
He will cross in front of Aphrodite from Netherlands.
And the Dutch also
Aphrodite
hitting that wind shift and tacking back, and Luigi?
Yeah.
But at the moment...
You see, they are handling every wind shift in a very careful way. They are not missing any single wind shift.
Oh. I believe that the Swedes probably there were more boats to the right-hand side of the course, and they didn't want to protect the Italians on the left. But they ended up missing these couple of shifts and losing a few places. You see, I think the Brazilians ahead of the Swedes. All those 5 boats on the left side of the course, actually in front of the Swedes at the moment.
What we really need is to have the view from the top. Because we have not the perception of the full racing area in this way. We can handle only looking the boats. But looks that now they are very spreaded.
Most of the boats are now on port deck, so this must be a more consistent left-hand shift. This is Vilamoura for the 470 World Championships, race number 4. Beautiful conditions, sunny and warm, flat water, shifty and gusty, very challenging for the sailors. The left-hand side of the course.
Looks that now we have a very stable left shift.
Yes, all the boats are on port deck.
All the boats are on the same tack.
We have here the view from the left-hand side of the course. Italy 6, Elena and Bianca Caruso. Elena Berta and Bianca Caruso. They were 3rd overall after 3 races. And it looks like it was not enough for them. They want to make a move on the Spanish and the French.
Obviously. Otherwise, why we are here?
Yes, that's right. Italian blood. Looks like they had plenty of pasta last night and they are looking very strong.
They are very careful with the diet.
I'm sure.
In this class it's very tricky to stay in the weight.
We see the Brazilians are coming back from the right. They have a little right-hand shift.
Now,
and it's good pressure here. We see even some flapping mainsails. They are almost approaching mark number 1.
Yeah.
Now we will confirm who is leading the race. But
it's Italy 74 apparently. It's
they went even further left than Elena and Bianca. Huh?
Yeah.
We saw that previously.
Bianca and Elena attacked before. Israel.
So Italy 74 from Israel 11 and Germany 69. Very close racing here between the 3 first teams.
Yeah, and Luisa is the 3rd one.
Looks like these three first boats sailed a little bit away from the fleet. Quite a big separation. Now we have Germany 26
This is Nadine, I think.
going across.
And Italy
Federica
6.
and Anna.
And Italy 6, that is Bianca, it's Elena,
Elena
and
and Bianca, yes. And then followed by the Brazilians. So another three teams close together. You see the Spanish coming on port there. They're going to go for attack before they go around the mark.
Not the best
Aphrodite
attack for
and
the Netherlands that
Lopka
needed to
trying to
on-tie.
squeeze. It looks like they might have touched the mark. They are doing a penalty here, doing a full turn. We haven't seen the French yet,
Me neither.
or the Great Britain team, Anna Mills, ranked number 1.
Aphrodite attacked too early, trying not to get on the step of the other boat coming.
And she might have touched the mark.
Yes.
Eh? From this angle, it's hard to see, but it's probably what happened. Eh?
Yeah, but we saw it because immediately after the attack, she pointed high to the wind.
Yep.
But possibly the wind, the speed was not enough
Not enough to
to
get
have
around the
momentum
mark.
to round the mark, and she touched the mark.
Not enough momentum.
But quite fair that she made a turn by herself.
Spectacular images here from Vilamoura. Nice breeze. The team's working hard on this reach. We are on leg 2 now. Leg 2 for race 4. They must be almost finished with leg number 2, going into a downwind leg. Leg number 3 coming shortly.
Alessandra and Benedetta are pumping all over, trying to stay ahead. It's nice because they mostly made very few tacks during the windward leg. They just go to the left side very straight,
Yeah.
and then they made a long tack on port, reaching all the rest of the fleet. It was a good tactics, yeah?
It was normally there's more shifts, but it looks like the best shift was that one on the left hand side, and they took advantage of it, managed to get in front of all the others. So most of these teams have been practicing a lot here in Vilamoura over the winter, right, Luigi?
Yeah, and the other part of the fleet that was not here in Vilamoura was in Sicily.
Yes.
We had a spot in Trapani, and we had all the Italians, the German, Luis, we had the Greek team, we had the Croatian team, we had many there making coaching during all the winter. And
So we saw them going around the second
Offset
mark, going
yeah.
into leg number 3 of the course.
It's Italy, Israel, and this is
And-
Brazil.
and no, Germany.
There is a big gap between the first 3 and the rest of the fleet. Very
Yes.
big gap. Huh?
It's, as I understood before, it was 3 teams away, then another 3 teams, and then the rest of the pack
Yeah,
behind.
correct.
So we are now on leg number 3.
The wind apparently a bit. The wind seems to be a bit dropped. Down. Less wind now, apparently.
Okay, entendido. The wind dropping a little bit there, Luigi.
Mm-hmm.
And that will actually help the girls in front pull away from the rest of the fleet. They went down with...
Because they arrived at the mark number 2 with full wind,
yes,
and now all the rest of the fleet is
yeah,
slower.
but it looks like a bit more compact now. So this is the other Italian team, Elena and Bianca, and the Brazilians, and the Polish.
And has to be Russian there.
It's Germany, the other Germany
No,
team.
Russia is there with the blue deck.
Very challenging conditions here in Vilamoura. Big wind shifts, big puffs.
No wind.
We saw the Swedes at one stage in the first beat looking really strong, but they missed that left-hand shift and they ended up losing a few places.
I don't know if there are still the condition for the Oscar flag.
But once they put the Oscar flag in
they
the start,
can down during the course.
They can take it out?
Yeah. With the Romeo flag. With the Romeo flag.
Well, at the moment the teams are looking quite still, so that might be a possibility that they removed the Oscar flag. Means that they can
normally is removed at the marker with a long number of sounds. So if we did not hear anything,
they are still allowed to pump.
Yeah. And you see how much they are getting close to the marker, much more the wind is going down. This is the French team that it's actually leading the
That's
fleet.
Correct. Not having the best race they wanted.
Not.
So we might see a Italian team leading the regatta after race number 4.
We don't know.
We don't know. We will see. I can see the Here we are in Vilamoura for the 470 World Championships 2021. After so many months of no racing, no competition, just training, getting ready for the next regatta. Here we are for the World Championships. Very tricky conditions. Oscar flag has to be still up because the girls are really rocking the boats, trying to create some apparent wind. The Italians leading this race, Benedetta and Alessandra. They didn't have the best day yesterday with a 20th, a 16th, and then finally a 4th in the last race. So obviously making a good move here to increase their overall score. Germany 69, they were the winners of race number 3, also looking good on this race number 4. And Israel, they were 5th overall after 3 races. And they are now lying 2nd in this race. Here we are back again commentating this race number 4 for the women's division in the 470 class. It's leg number 3. We have a big fight for the lead here on leg number 3, going downwind into a gate. Fight between the Italians, the Israelis and the Germans.
Italian rounded the previous mark as first, and now she's fighting with the Israel that was second.
Yeah, looks like the Israeli jibed earlier, trying to get some better wind on that side.
Or even it's enough to stay more on the inside, because we saw from the previous windward leg that there was much more wind on the right side.
On the left side?
On the left side, yeah.
On the left side, that's where...
Now is the right side because we are going on the downwind.
Yes, that's right.
But looks that now we have... there is course change.
They are going to make a little change of course, probably that left-hand shift is staying. The boats are approaching the leeward gate for leg number 4. Still not there yet. We saw the Israelis jibing.
I can see the gate. Do you?
No, not yet. The gate will be... I think one mark it's on the left side of our screen and the other mark to the right hand side of our screen. So the Italians also jibing. They are probably looking for the right hand mark of the gate, looking downwind.
Here is the mark.
Italians already dropping quite an early drop here.
Yeah. Quite early. Possibly they will go to the left mark.
Italians taking the right hand mark. We can see a split here between Italy and Israel.
Italy is doing the same tactics of the previous windward leg. They
That's
are preferring
correct.
to go to the left side.
And looking from this angle, it looks like the mark that the Italians took, the right hand mark, is a little biased, is a little bit more to windward than the left hand mark. But obviously the Israelis didn't want to follow the Italians,
No.
so they took the left hand mark.
If they are just following, they will stay in the same position. They have to try to invent something new.
That's correct. More teams approaching
This
the
is
gate.
the second Italian team.
Lying 4th in this race at the moment and 3rd overall.
And they also choose to go to the left side of the course.
Probably taking the bias on that gate.
Yeah.
We might be seeing more and more teams taking that mark. Not only because the race course might be favored on the left, but also because of the bias of the gate.
Well, it's if it's crowned, it's better to lose some meters, but not to be involved in the mess.
That's exactly right.
And you see that everybody are making an early drop of the spinnaker. They don't want to have mess during the mark rounding.
A few more boats to go around the gate. We are back into the front of the fleet here. You know, Luigi, on the first beat there was a left shift, and there's also a possibility for the wind to come back to the right. So maybe that's what the Israelis are trying here, you know, to see if the wind comes back to the same direction as previous to the start.
We will know it only when Italy and Israel will cross.
Yes, that's right.
Because actually we cannot appreciate the small wind changes.
That's-
We only can see if someone is crossing ahead of the other. They rounded the leeward gate quite close. It
At
was
the
a matter of few seconds.
Almost the same time,
Yeah.
huh?
Still rounding to the leeward gate.
Some of the teams still coming downwind.
But again, here less wind. There is apparently the second part of the fleet is always sailing with less wind.
Well, they have to go through the gate, so if there's not much wind at the moment, is no option.
From here we can see very well how much the left mark looks higher than the right mark.
Here we are back to the front of the fleet. All three teams still on starboard tack. Feels like the wind dropping a little bit on this side of the course as well, Luigi.
And Israel was looking where was the press rib to know if they can tack or not.
Staying close to the cameras, these Israeli girls.
And they are pointing high now.
They are pointing high, and there might be a little right-hand shift
Yeah.
here. And that's why the Italians are not tacking to cover, because they don't want to lose the shift. I've sailed here many times, and it's very important sometimes to be careful with that. You know, now there's a good puff coming in for the Israelis,
And they are sailing into the puff.
and if the Italians are outside this puff, they might become a little bit vulnerable.
They move it higher, so Israeli gain a lot on windward side.
I think so. Looking at the angle and where they're pointing, it looks like the Israelis have more right-hand shift than the Italians.
Well, yes, was but anyhow, this right shift was almost unpredictable at the gate. It's only a matter of choice.
That's right.
Still a big gap between the first group and the rest of the fleet.
Big fight here for the win of race number 4. Between the Italians, Benedetta, Alessandra, they were leading around the course, followed very close by the Israeli team, Noya and Shahar.
And German team always there.
Also the German team, they have a nice left-hand shift there, the Italians and the Germans coming back at the Israelis. They were looking good, but
now we'll see the cross.
they were looking good, but I believe the wind came back to the left and the Italians and Germans got away with it. We have a collision course here between Israel and Germany. Germany needs to keep clear, so they're gonna dip the Israelis.
And they did.
But it looks still close between Israel and Italy. We might see Italy putting attack here to cover these two teams. Here we go. Good strategy from the Italian team, Benedetta and Alessandra.
Actually, they only have to control those two boats going to the rest of the course. But both of them are strong team.
If they have the speed and they stay on the better side of the shift and control that position, they can hold the others behind.
Yeah, but this is for all the boats, so it's just.
It is. It doesn't matter if it's a 470
Yeah.
or
the World Championship or
an America's Cup.
Yes.
If you are faster and you
If you're
position
faster and you
yourself-
stay ahead, it's easy.
The Israelis, they look quite fast underneath the Italians at the moment.
Yeah, and Germany is losing speed, is staying behind. Now on the next attack, Italy will be on starboard and Israel will be on port while crossing, but seems that
I think the
exactly,
wind went
Italy is
left a little
taking
bit,
before
Luigi,
and Israel is following.
because the Germans lost a little bit of ground to the Israelis and Italians. I think it was a little bit more left shift.
Well, I think we will have just one more tack to go to the mark. We are quite high now. But the German 69, Luisa, on the trial race that we had last week, she finished first.
They did.
Yes, German 69, yes.
Louise and Anastasia.
Yes.
They won the last race yesterday, looking good here on the race number 4. We are on leg number 5, actually. No, we are still on leg number 4. Sorry, Luigi, you are correct. Germans taking back, trying to get closer to the...
She lost a lot on the previous tack. Now, here we are.
Very, very tight race between these three teams. The Germans are a little bit behind, but with these shifty conditions, very gusty and shifty conditions, anything can happen.
Italy will have to tack soon.
When a boat tacks like that, the leeward, we call it the lee bow, and that makes it very hard for the boat to windward to stay there without interference from the sails. We see the Italians struggling to hold that lane. As you say,
until they can stay there, this is preventing the Israeli boat to tack to go to the mark.
That's correct. So if they can keep the Israelis to leeward, they can push the Israelis all the way to the ley line, and
Even above the ley line.
or even above. But you have to be careful because there's another boat coming behind the Germans, and they will use any opportunity.
Yeah, but I see that Benedetta is looking behind. Now they are tacking because
They are probably on the ley line. That means yes, Israel also tacking. So this will be a direct course to the next mark, and the Italians
will tack first
have
on
the
the ley
advantage.
line and will be on the starboard.
It's a great job they did there to hold that lane,
Yeah.
because the Israelis, they had made a good tack underneath to leeward, and they were pushing the height very hard, but definitely Benedetta and Alessandra working hard on their technique, holding that
To
lane,
stay high and not to interfere.
managing to keep the Israelis on the left-hand side, prevent them from tacking to the mark in front of them.
But is it my feeling or seems that Israeli is pointing higher than Italy? Seems that the lateral distance is increasing.
Maybe.
Possibly, actually Benedetta wants to have speed but not high, not bow, in order to be first on the ley line and to tack.
Maybe.
And Israel is doing exactly the opposite, trying to stay high, even losing some speed.
It all depends on the position to the mark. If they are on the ley line, if what's going to happen for the next shift.
Oh,
Also,
look where is Germany.
Yeah, Germany lost a little bit of ground to these girls.
still a lot of small shift. You see how much the bow is going up and down, not just for the waves.
But it's much flatter water than yesterday. Yesterday we had the wind a little bit further left than today, with a small swell and very choppy waters. And today it looks much flatter. Still a little bit of chop, but not so technical.
It is not so technical because they have not to handle the waves. They are very small. I'm curious to see where is the mark.
A little bit of a left shift here for the Italians. They're pointing higher than the Israelis. And
now back.
And now the wind's back to the right. But I like the position from the Italians. Very much under control.
Wind is momentarily dropping.
And if they need to attack, they'll be on starboard. They will have right of way. I think it will be decided on the next downwind leg, because being so close to each other, whoever is faster downwind will end up winning the race.
Now seems the Israeli, but possibly is the perspective of the camera. Israeli is a bit sliding behind the Italian, trying to point high.
See here Alessandra working very hard on that trapeze. Oscar flag still up for sure, because
yes.
If not, they wouldn't be allowed to do this movement.
Was a good choice for the committee not to drop down the Oscar flag with the Romeo. Okay, apparently if they got the good ley line, they will...
Yes, they are around the mark now. Into leg number 5. Very, very close racing from both Italian and Israeli team, running into leg number 5, followed by the Germans.
Big gap with the German.
But they lost a little bit of ground. They didn't catch those wind shifts as well as the other two girls.
I think the two boats ahead, they had when they both were on starboard, the two boats ahead seems to have much more speed than the German.
I think also the wind bended a little bit to the left, and the geometry didn't really help the Germans.
German take it late.
Yes. And we saw that the Israelis, they decided to keep on that wind shift. Maybe the Germans, if they attacked underneath the Israelis, they would have been...
It was the best tactics.
Probably. That was
when the Israeli was taking, they have to take also.
Yes.
They decided to stay. Now we'll see the rest of the fleet.
There's a big gap between the top 3 teams and the rest of the pack. But I'm sure with these tricky conditions, a lot of opportunities to gain a few places upwind.
Or to lose.
Or to lose as well. This is mark number 2, being rounded for the second time at this race for leg number 5. We have here the other Italian team.
Yeah,
they were fourth on the gate, and they kept their position.
They were 5th on the gate. I think they were 5th.
They were 5th on the first mark, but I believe when they took the gate on the right-hand mark, they were already 4th.
Should be. Now they are 4th.
Just followed by the Spanish.
Very hard for Spanish not to fall on the mark. Ooh.
Very good technique here on the mark. These Spanish girls, Silvia and Patricia,
Second German
doing a great job, followed by the Germans.
and
Two
Germans.
German teams. Germany 24 was lying fourth overall, Nadine and Anne-Christine. And Germany 26 didn't have a great day yesterday. Frederica and Anna, they were actually lying 22nd overall yesterday after 3 races.
Now we are on the last down before the reach going to the finish.
So this is the fight for the win of race number 4. Israel and Italy.
Alessandra is working very hard. The Baumann of Italy 7040 is working very hard, but Israelian also is working a lot.
We see the Germans there with a little bit more left
They are
wind,
she-
soaking downwind a little bit more than the others. They might have a bit more pressure there.
Peraí, Carlos. Foda-se!
The wind dropping a little bit.
Yeah, and they are really working hard to keep the speed.
We have the press flag
And
here covering a little bit our view, but we can see both teams working really hard. I wonder what about the German team. They were a little bit too lowered and they felt like they had some pressure. They could actually be back into this game as well.
I think they are much more on the right side of the screen now. The German team.
The German team.
Right side of the screen, yeah.
Very tricky conditions. The wind always going up and down. I believe now what you said before, now it seems like the boats in the front have less wind and the boats in the back are coming very fast downwind. I don't think that will be enough for them to challenge these girls anyway, but we see now, we can see the German team on the right hand side of your screen. I mean, after the Italians and Israelis jibe, it might get closer.
Now, at this time, the most is not to stop pumping.
The more you pump, the
Yes.
faster you go. The 470 has become so much more physical after we changed the rules were changed, wasn't it?
And
Italians going
jibing.
for jibe, Israelis probably following, trying to stay
between the Italian
between
boats
the
and
Italians
the
and
wind.
the wind, try to cover their winds. If they manage to do that, they will make the Italians slow down, try to get an advantage. The Germans, I believe the Germans might be getting dangerous here. Those German team, German 69, they were the winners of the Portuguese Grand Prix. Luis and Anastasia, they won race number 3 yesterday after the 2 first races that were not so good with a 21 and a 17. They are back in the game with the first and now trying to challenge the top 2 from this race. Italians still managing to cross the
But
Germans.
Germany gain a lot, eh?
Germany gained a lot. They are driving also inside the Italians, trying to cover the wind from the Italians and the Israelis.
Germany actually, because the last mark is to round on the left and to go to the finish.
That's right. It's a little bit tactical here as well, because if the Italians cannot cross ahead, the Germans will have right of way inside the mark, isn't it?
And this is a...
But maybe they're not laying because the Israelis are driving, so they cannot be laying the mark from there.
Yeah,
so
but anyhow, Germany will be always the leftmost part of the group of three, trying to protect the inside of the mark.
That's right. So Italy jibed. Maybe we will see the Germans jibe as well. The Germans did sail very fast this downwind, and they were not this close to the others. And all of a sudden, they're back in the game.
They catch a very good puff in the center of the course.
Yeah,
and
I think also a little bit left shift. Possibly. And the geometry, so the angle out of the jibe for the Italians in Israel was not the best. See, they're working really hard here, the Israelis. It feels like the Israelis have a little puff here on this side.
Yes, but the puff apparently is moving towards Italy and Germany also.
This is it's almost the final leg. The final leg is actually a very short reach between the mark and the finish. Normally that last leg there's not many changes on positions. So they're all trying to fight for that next mark rounding to be the first to go around that mark. We have here some comments from the YouTube chat. We are trying to find out how far to the marks they are. We have 2 cameras in the water trying to give us every angle, but sometimes sailing is not very easy to cover.
Especially because the rib has not to go inside the course, not to interfere with the boat that are sailing. Because it's easy to pass between the boat to have the best view, but this is really hardly interfering with the boats and could change the result of a leg or results of the athlete's performance.
I believe this is going to be a very close mark rounding here. We will follow the men division on race number 5. We are following now the women's division on race number 4. Not much to go on this race. A very, very tight race between these 3 teams. Benedetta and Alessandra from Italy have been leading most of the race. The Israelis in one stage were very close to take the lead, Noya and Shahar, on the previous upwind leg. And then all of a sudden the Germans came back into the game.
Oh, they all jive it now.
They are all jive. They're probably laying the bottom mark. The Germans are ahead of the Israelis. I'm not sure they can beat the Italians from that position.
Depends where is the mark.
Here we are, here we can see they're still not laying the marks. We have here the next mark they have to go around.
Italy is trying to catch the right side, the left side, so to be
inside the rounding, isn't it?
Or they have to wait until the other boats start jibing, or if they have enough speed, they can jibe earlier to be the first on the mark, to be the first in that zone around the mark.
So let's see who's taking initiative. Is the Italians taking the initiative?
Jibing early.
Germans trying to steal the wind from them. The Israelis keep going to see if they can sneak inside, maybe on the leeward side of these 2 teams.
This is a very good point of view. This is exactly giving the perspective going to the down.
but I believe the Italians, they've done enough. They might have done enough to win this race. There's no overlap here. They can jibe.
They are in the zone
Nobody
clear,
allowed to
so
get inside.
Italy is owning
Very
the
tight.
mark.
Very tight racing. Look at this. After
one full
hour.
race, they are 1 second each other.
Yes. Here we have the plan. That's the Italians cross the line. They win race number 4.
Then Germany 69, Luis,
And Israel just behind. So all 3 teams very, very close.
Yeah, but a very nice race.
Very good race. Very good race.
Very tactical, very well done, with a lot of change of position.
We are now going to try and get our team in the water to talk to our winners of race number 4.
Hi Italia. Was a great regatta, great race, and you overcome to the other 2 teams. So congratulations. And how did you feel? How did you feel about beating them and the hard fight that you give them?
We are very happy about this race. It was very, very difficult race because the top 3 teams were very close. And so we have to tactic very well.
Here we are. We had a little chat with the Italians. They did a great job. That was very impressive, Luigi. They did a great job to stay ahead of the Germans and the Israelis, taking all the time, protecting their position, making sure they didn't miss the next shift.
Yeah,
it was a really good performance.
As Benedetta said, it was a very tactical regatta. They had to control the 2 boats that was on the top of the fleet from the beginning, and because a lot of wind shifted, this is what Benedetta said from the rib, because a lot of wind shift, they had to manage very hard in order to keep the position leading the fleet.
We have also the other teams now approaching the finish, going around the last mark on the reach to the finish. We missed the
central mark rounding.
The other teams that passed before this pack, but I believe it was the other Italian team, Elena and Bianca. We're going to confirm if they managed to keep their 4th in that race, or if they had any challenge from the boats behind. You can see the fleet very compact here.
Yeah, but they stay in the bunch for all the race. Apparently there was no chance for the big group of the fleet to separate each other, because they had the same wind condition, the same. What is strange is that the French team that actually is leading is quite in this bunch, very behind to everybody.
So we are going to stop with this race for the girls. We will have a short break and we will be back for race number 5 on the men's division. We will give you some updates on the results. Stand by. We'll be back soon. Thank you. Here we are back to Vilamoura for race number 5. This is the 470 World Championships. Is race number 2. Day number 2. We had 4 races completed already. 3 yesterday and 1 today. We are going to follow the men fleet race number 6. We are here with Luigi again to help us do the comments on this race. Thank you for staying with us, Luigi.
My pleasure again. It's nice to be here.
Thank you.
It's a nice, different view of the race. Normally we stay ashore, we don't see anything. Now it's nice.
That's right. This is the first time for me. My name is Pedro Andrade, and it's a new experience. I'm trying my best. I hope we can try to explain what's going on the best we can so the people can understand watching on the screen on this coverage on YouTube. This is a shot from the building, the race committee, the race office building. On the far distance we can see the starting line. That is the men's fleet getting ready for the start. I believe we are going through the starting procedure already.
It's wonderful condition. Eh? It's sunny, it's windy, it's hot. It's very nice condition.
It's really good. Here we go. We have the flags up. Flag is up. That means it's less than 4 minutes for the start.
And Oscar positive, so means that they will be allowed to pump during the race course.
I have an update from the results. First race from this fleet. The winners were Jordi Chamar improving his lead with Nicolas Rodriguez. They are improving their lead with 4 points now overall over the Swedes. The Swedes didn't have the best race today. They had to count the race from yesterday, the 5th on the 3rd race yesterday, and now they have 10 points, followed very close by the Portuguese, who had a really good race, a 2nd place on the last race, and have 11 points now.
The results are already updated for the men fleet and women fleet on the event website. You can all spot from there.
Yes, you can follow it on Vilamoura Sailing website. All the results, all the news, all the pictures.
There is a dedicated website. It's 2021words.470.org with all the results.
So we're going to go for one more race today. We're going to cover the men's fleet. We haven't covered the race from the mixed teams yet, but I promise we will do it during the week. We will follow the mixed, which will be the next Olympic discipline for the 470 class. This will be the last Olympics for men and or women division. There will be a mixed discipline. We're not that far for the start.
And mixed results are updated also just now.
All the results are
all the fleet on
updated.
the website.
We're not that far to the start. It's less than a minute. The boats are getting close. Again, looks like the committee boat is favored. There's more boats close to the committee boat. You can hear a lot of shouting there.
You can hear a lot of shouting, yes.
5, 2, 1, and here we go. That's the start of race numbers 5. Race number 5. We are now on leg 1, men's fleet. The wind is a little bit lighter than the first race today. We can see
everybody are rocking and rolling.
Oscar flag still up, so they are allowed to pump. Germany 11 taking straight after the start to the right. Looks like a left-hand shift. Some boats that started close to the pin are looking really good.
Look how hard work are doing the German team, moving all the time up and down inside the boat to
Simon
keep
and
it
Philip.
rolling.
Simon and Philip, they were 20th this morning, but the wind has dropped a lot.
See, I don't understand the Oscar flag, because it looks that there are not the condition for the Oscar flag.
Well, you know, maybe the wind dropped during the starting procedure, and Nino decided to keep the Oscar flag. Maybe the wind pick up again during the race, but we can see a big split already on the fleet with these tricky conditions. We are now limited to this side of the course to see the fleet going upwind. I'm trying to figure out, I think, I cannot tell from this angle, but there is already a big split in the fleet. There's some boats with very little wind. I believe there's something going on. I see some boats bearing away going back to the start. There might be a postponement here. Race might be delayed.
Yeah, they are all bearing down to go to the starting line again.
Yeah,
Possibly
definitely
this
something
race
going
has-
on.
Yeah, this race has been abandoned and possibly they will start again. Oh, there is a rib with a flag going through the fleet.
I'm trying to reach the race committee to see what's going on, if it was due to a big this big left hand wind shift, or the wind has dropped a little bit. So this race is now postponed or abandoned, and we will wait for the next procedure. Unfortunately, the wind is very unstable, Luigi, and I think it was a good decision. We could see a big split on the fleet.
But also
And-
the wind was very fast dropping during the last minute.
That's right.
And then they started with almost no wind.
Yes, it must have been because if they had the Oscar flag up,
Yeah.
that means that it was probably good wind before the start, and the wind just dropped.
Yeah, the Oscar flag, that is the flag that is granting them the right to pump and to rock.
And normally,
Is-
from how many knots?
Well, this is depending on each classes. So each classes has a different...
Men and women is different?
No. For the 470 as class is the same, and it's 8 knots, but has to be done in all the race course.
Okay.
Has to be, how to say, spreaded around. You
Yes.
cannot give Oscar flag if only one side of the course is with the wind above.
I understand.
Other classes, like the Star, for example, they have much more restricted rules, that the wind has to be measured for 5 minutes, 2 meters from the water side, so for the water level, in a constant way, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. So we will give you further information as soon as we get any. We're waiting for the race committee to give us an update on their intention.
Sì, sì. Totalmente. Totalmente.
The teams now are waiting for decisions from the race committee. But it looks really unstable here.
Possibly this should be a long postponement.
I'm getting messages from some spectators wondering what's going on. We are just waiting for the procedure for race number 5 on the men's fleet. The race had to be abandoned due to a big drop of wind and a major left-hand wind shift. You can see that the flag is up for the race abandoned. Our international race officer Amaral is checking the conditions. I'm sure he doesn't want to make a decision that will affect the results. He needs to give the sailors the best conditions possible for a fair race.
This should be a long postponement, no?
Yes, it could be a long postponement. We're gonna stay with you for a few more moments. Major wind shift in the race course for the race number 5 for the men's division. We have here the Portuguese team, the Costa brothers. They are very focused. They're doing a great job. They finished second in race number 4. They climbed up to 3rd overall at the moment, and that will give them a slot for the Olympics. It's gonna be a passport for the Olympic Games 2021 in Tokyo if they can manage to keep this performance and keep ahead of their opposition.
Yeah, but they are doing well even yesterday. Yesterday they made the first race as second.
They were 6th overall after 3 races, and but they were behind the Swiss, and the Swiss also haven't qualified for the Olympics, so it's a close fight there. The Swiss now dropped a few places, and they are, I believe, 8th overall with 22 points. I just heard a gun there. Might be the flag going down. We will confirm in a minute. That's it, confirmation. 4 minutes for the start on the men's division.
During this time, normally you are checking again the starting line, the mark, the position of the mark, and you are choosing which side of the starting line and which side of the course is the best. If you see, there are some current meter on the water lied by the coaches, just to give the last information to the competitors in order to make the best first leg sailing.
Well, I've been sailing a lot here in Vilamoura, and I can tell you that the current is not very strong here.
Yeah, but
it doesn't play a big role in the decisions on this race course, and the wind coming from the land with very shifty conditions, very gusty. The most important thing, it's never a side very clear that is going to pay. It's very important to keep your eyes off the boat, see where the next puff is coming, see where the next wind shift,
and to handle every wind shift and every puff as individual.
Yes, very important in a race course with the wind more stable, more not shifting so much. The teams have this tendency to look at the opposition much more, and with conditions like this, the competitors normally look more into the water to see the puffs and the shifts
coming on the water.
to try to take advantage of that. We are getting ready for race number 5. This is the 470 World Championships in Vilamoura. It's great to be back in the water racing after
So
all
long
this time.
Yeah.
I'm sure the competitors were very keen to get back into racing. They've been training a lot, doing their homework.
During the the hardest period of the pandemic, we were not even allowed to go on the water to make training. We only had to stay home, and we focused a lot about physical training, mental training, racing rules, protest, all those things that you can do at home. We were all missing the physical part or the water side of the sport.
Yes, I'm sure.
Especially because we passed from, let's say, 5-6 days of training in a row to nothing.
Yes. We're not that far for the start of race number 5. The team's nicely lined up. I can't see that Oscar flag there, Luigi. I
No.
wonder if
It normally is
still up.
behind the.
It's on the stern of the boat.
Yeah. But it doesn't look that there are 8 knots.
But they are not far from the start. It's less than a minute. The fleet is spread through the line, so it should be an even line here, with not a big advantage on each side. Maybe a few more boats on the pin, fighting for the pin.
Looks there are more pressure on the
Yes.
pin.
Yes, more boats on the pin at the moment.
And you were right. There is no Oscar flag.
There's
and
no
this
Oscar
is the start.
That's correct. Germans started at the committee boat straight into attack. They're looking for a right-hand shift on the right-hand side of the course. Try to take advantage of that. Most of the boats actually tacking off the line onto port.
Splitted into parts. There is a part going on the left and another part coming on the right.
I
But,
see a few boats over there
Yeah,
from the pin
I
that
think that
managed to
all
tack.
of them will tack on port.
Yes, most of the fleet is tacking on port. So chasing the right-hand side of the course. Look at the bow on those boats to windward. I think they're pretty high. It was biased at the pin at the start.
Yeah.
We will try to find.
Do you have the feeling that there is more wind also on the left side of the course?
Well, it feels like they are higher. The windward boats are higher than the leeward boats here. When I say windward and leeward boats, for those who don't understand here, the American boats, the furthest to leeward of the boats on port deck, and the other boats further away from us are the boats to windward.
In the meantime, you can see from far the female fleet.
The female fleet was on the reach already. We have here an aerial shot of the start. The mixed teams getting ready for the start of race number 5. Beautiful image. We're back here
back on the water
into the men's race.
They are quite all in a bunch, and there is no one going ahead or speeding up.
For the moment, the fleet is still very compact. Some boats starting to tack to the left. Maybe the wind already changed a little bit to the right. We see there, I believe it's a Great Britain boat that tacked onto starboard. The Swiss coming on port to the right hand side. Looks like the wind dropping a little bit and heading. There they go for attack. Very tricky conditions here in Vilamoura. The wind is light. There's no Oscar flag, so they are not allowed to use their bodies to rock the boat, to pump the boat.
But they can still do a nice roll taking.
Yes, while they tack, they can swing the boat around, but they cannot do it on a straight line. So it becomes more technical, not so physical. This kind of sailing.
It's when you see if they have a good hand on the helm or not.
That's right. It's much more important to be really smooth with the helm, with the tiller while driving. Feels like the Swiss have the best position at the moment of the aerial shot of the men's fleet here. It's hard to tell which side is gonna pay.
Well, most of the fleet seems to be on the right side looking windward.
Yes, middle right.
Middle right, yeah. And there is only one boat on the left.
And we can see here that the Swiss really high on starboard, right hand shift. So basically, looking at this first part of the race, the bias was on the pin end side of the line. Sailors tried to start close to the pin, but they were looking for this right hand shift, so they were all trying to tack quickly to the right hand side of the course, take advantage of this wind shift, and the Swiss made the best out of it for the moment.
The Swiss catch the first tack, covering the fleet, going back to the fleet, and all the other boat has to tack below them. They have to keep the position because they are the rightest most boat going to the windward mark.
I believe there are a few more boats that came further right, but the Swiss, they managed to tack onto starboard with the right hand shift, so the next shift will also favor them. We also have the Greek team, very experienced team. Panagiotis and Pavlos, Greece #1. They are on 20 points after 4 races. They were 3rd overall after yesterday, but they finished 17th this morning and dropped a few places overall.
Still not so much wind.
Well, a little bit more at the start, because they are
Yeah.
on the trapeze. Well, definitely better than that race that had to be abandoned. So we see here, Luigi, some boats further right,
on the right.
Then the Swiss. You see the Germany 11, Simon and Philip also trying to qualify Germany for the Olympics. They are not qualified yet.
The American team is still not trapezing, and the German team also. They are sitting now. Just now, it's USA is mid trapezing, not so much wind.
But still good conditions, good racing conditions.
Yeah, it's not mandatory to sail only where there is Oscar flag. You can also sail without the Oscar and make your best in the techniques and handling the boat.
I believe there's a little left-hand shift over there. The boat's starting to tack from the left. The Russians looks like they're gonna get really close to the Swiss. Here we go. The Swiss are tacking underneath. The Russians taking the lead on the race with a left-hand shift and a good puff. They are really flying upwind here. The Russians, the Swiss, the Greek. Actually, 2 Greek teams, I believe.
Russian is actually fifth in the general scoring after 4 races with 14 points. That is the same points than USA won.
Wondering where are the Spanish and the Swedes and the Portuguese. They were the top 3 coming into this race. It's the first 70 World Championships 2021 in Vilamoura. Beautiful conditions, Luigi. Look at that.
Now there is clearly more wind and the boat are speeding up much more. possibly on the next on the next part of the race we will have more wind and they can hoist the Oscar flag. The race committee, Nino Scimueli, the PRO of the event,
On the top mark.
can decide to hoist the normally on the top mark or on the offset mark is the same. So
We have the Swedish here, also not so bad. They might be 7th in this race at the moment, but they're in a good position. They're not that far from the leaders. They can still make a move there. Anton and Frederick, Sweden 349. I believe from the Royal Swedish Yacht Club. Very shifty conditions. We have here the wind starting to drop again a little bit. The crew
Baumann went
are
inside.
now going not so far into the trapeze. Tricky conditions. Getting ready for Oscar. I hear it on the communication, on the organizer.
I'm not sure. I think I heard negative for Oscar.
Negative for Oscar?
We will see on the windward mark. Well, there are many boats windward than Russia.
Yes.
From
Let's
this
see the position of the mark, see if they are overstanding the top mark. The Russians looking good. They're rolling into attack
Taking.
here. Nice technique. Very synchronized. Keeping the speed on the boat through the tech.
and crossing ahead of Greece.
Of the Greek. After a 17th on the first race, this Greek team, Panagiotis and Pavlos, they need a good result if they want to stay
Done completed from Greece.
in the hunt for the World Championship title. So they're going now into leg number 2, hoisting the spinnakers to go downwind.
As far as I can hear, there is no Oscar.
There's no Oscar, we haven't heard anything, so it's Russia leading the pack.
Russia,
Pavel.
Greece and Greece.
Pavel and Denis from Panagiotis, Pavlos from Greece, and Vasilis and Ioannis also from Greece.
Then Kilian and Georgi from Swiss. Then Ukraine.
And USA won.
Stuart and David with from USA.
We saw here the Swiss. The reason they didn't turn very close to the mark, and Luigi will help me here, is because the other boat was coming on starboard and they have to keep clear. They cannot tack within the zone.
They can tack in
They
within
can,
that zone, but
without interfering with another boat.
well, it's
So
much more strength. It's they have not to force the boat that was on starboard to sail above Clausolet.
yes, that's right. So no interference to the boat coming on starboard, and then you are fine.
It's much better to take on windward or the boat on starboard and to give to the boat that was on starboard the full
room.
chance to have mark room
Yes, so that's why they didn't tack
in front.
in front of
Or
the other
below.
boat. They just played safe. They didn't want to push the rules. They sailed a little bit beyond the mark, made their tack, bear away, and hoist.
This is a young team from Italy. The two guys are both from Naples.
We have now Spain 44 going around the mark. Not looking great on this race number 5. We've been getting used to see them on the top of the fleet on all races. I haven't seen the Portuguese also. We are limited now to this camera. Our boat is going to go down and check and do this footage on the whole fleet from the back to the front. We'll be able to see everyone's position. It's a big difference from the previous race, Luigi, where they had the Oscar flag up and they were rolling the boats.
Now they are locked inside the boat. They cannot make any special movement in order to activate the kinetic to build speed. So they just have to sail using the wind and the sail, and as they are.
So, but they are still allowed to pump one time per wave, right?
No, this is a mythos.
Is mythos?
Yes.
No pump at all.
No,
Not
they
even
are allowed to pump one time per wave or per gust if there are planning conditions.
Okay.
Because if there are not planning conditions, because pumping is in order to initiate planning on surf or surfing,
okay.
You cannot pump just because you want to pump.
So we have here the expertise from Luigi on the rules. He's the rules advisor for Team Italia.
Something to work. This is one of the mythos. There are a lot of mythos in sailing, and this is one of the most famous mythos.
Yes.
Always forgetting the second part. If there are if there are planning conditions, planning or surfing conditions.
So, for example, in a big boat that doesn't really start planing, you are not allowed to pump at all.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah. The idea to pump with a maxi is simply stupid because maxi cannot.
But for example, with a kill boat like a Dragon or a Natural,
then you can, because the boat can surf, cannot plan but can surf.
Okay.
If you have a Plateau 25, it's the same. If you have a J70, it's the same. Becoming bigger, becoming tricky.
Okay, thank you, Luigi, for clearing up this matter. We are back in the front of the fleet.
Russia is still leading with Greek and the other Greek boat behind. Nothing changed in this leg.
So I believe the mixed fleet is going upwind. We can see them sailing upwind. The fleets are converging here. The women fleet, they were sailing the outer loop, so they went into a reach first before they go downwind. The men's fleet went straight into a downwind leg.
Greek one is trying to catch the wind to catch out the wind from the
I believe
Russian
they are
boat.
to leeward of the Russians, so
And they will jibe.
in that position the Russians couldn't jibe because they would jibe onto port. We can see the gates on the right hand side of the screen. We can see that we just saw the marks, 2 marks, so the sailors can go around one or the other. They have to go inside between the gates and round. Looking from here, we can see it's very tight between the Russians and the Greek at the moment.
And very light wind. You can see that the helmsman of all the boats is on leeward side just to keep the sails
So
below.
we
to
saw a
help the
little
sails.
pump there from the Russians, so that should be legal. It's just one pump to try and
I'm not here as a jury,
not here as a jury,
but
but
the jury is on the water.
it's nice to try and understand. You know, obviously the jury in the water, they cannot see the whole fleet. Sometimes the sailors get away with
I think the jury has not. They are not so much because they are only 6 and they have 1 rib per fleet.
Mm-hmm.
And to follow the full fleet with just 1 rib, it's quite tricky.
It's not
to
so
handle.
easy.
Yeah.
But it looks like they are behaving themselves. They're not trying to push the rule. Feels like the Russians going a little bit higher, or maybe the Greeks going a little bit lower to try and get the wind from the Russians. We see here.
That's a nice view.
The nice view from the drone. Looking at this angle, looks like the right hand mark on our screen could be to windward and an advantage, but sometimes because you are so concerned with the other boat, the Russians and the Greek taking the other mark. Let's see if the Swiss taking the right hand mark will actually make a move.
Swedish also went to the other mark.
Which one? Sorry?
The Sweden.
The Swiss and the Swedes, yes.
The connection with the drone is a bit tricky.
We have a message here from a friend of mine reminding me that this is an Olympic qualification and that some countries are fighting for the last spots for the Olympics.
We said it before.
And I can tell you that the countries that haven't qualified yet for the Olympics in the men's division is Austria, Germany, Hungary, Israel, Portugal, Switzerland and Ukraine. And only one of these countries will get that last spot, and they also need to qualify internally. At the moment, the Portuguese are looking strong for that, but with this race number 5, we see the Swiss also looking really strong. We can see them to windward of the Greeks and the Russians. I'm afraid I was right about that gate, because you see the Swedes were third around the gate and they look clear ahead of the Greeks at the moment.
Seems that the wind did not increase it, huh? It's still there. We have on the chat lots of requests about the female fleet, watching the female fleet, but we can't. We
cannot, I'm sorry, we cannot. We have to follow. We followed the women's fleet on the race number 4. We are now following the men's fleet. We can see the Russians, they got a little left hand shift that helped them tack and make sure they could cross the Swedes and the Swiss, because there was a split on that gate. And when that happens, it's very tricky, you know. It gives the boats behind to a chance to make a different
but with so few
choice.
wind is quite difficult, because if you made a mistake, if you made a bad move, you are you lost a lot. You really lost a lot. It's very difficult to have a comeback in this condition.
Well, just before, the Greek went around the gate second, but straight after they looked to be behind both the Swedes and the Swiss. But as you can see now, they're all tacked onto port, so that's probably because a small left-hand shift.
Yeah,
left-hand shift.
or looking for more wind on the side of the shoreline.
But I believe it was a left-hand shift, because didn't look like the Greek was crossing. They were crossing the Swedes, but now they're clear ahead.
There were 2 Greek boats. One was second and one was third.
Yes, but this, look now, another shift to the right. So all of them tacking simultaneously. You know, all of a sudden, it doesn't look like the Greek are clear ahead of the Swiss and the Swedes. So it's changing all the time. Look how high the Swiss are.
Yeah.
On that side of the course. So it's changing all the time, you know, and they have to react.
Very technical condition today, yeah?
They have to react to each wind shift. So this is a right-hand shift now. All the boats, all these top boats on this race, number 5, on starboard
But
deck.
it seems that the last wind shift went in all the course area in the same moment, because they all tacked it simultaneously.
Yes. And also a little build on the breeze with this right-hand shift. Russians doing a great job there. They will be looking good overall after if they manage to keep this lead. They were lying 5th with 14 points. And if they get a bullet, they will challenge the boats ahead on the overall score. I'm trying to read all the messages on the top chat on the YouTube channel. I'm afraid the Spanish, they didn't look that good around the first mark. Also the Portuguese, I couldn't find out where they were. Also the USA number 1. So big changes on the fleet on this race 5. Vilamoura has been a place, a race area used by many teams to get that their preparation for the Olympics.
Yeah, and it's a constantly winter training camp. I know that many of the European team, including Italian team, are coming here during the winter because they have training weeks every week and with some races to keep them up.
Well, during this time that the events couldn't be organized, I believe that the coaches were organizing
It's
unofficial
coach
events,
yes.
coaching what they call the coaching regattas, so that they can challenge each other, see how they are doing during the training. They can confirm.
What is this?
We are looking at the mixed teams for the moment. They're going around top mark, probably. But we are going back to the men's fleet race. Here we are. We can see the little swap on the sides. The Swiss crossed behind the Greek to the left-hand side of the course. The Greek decided to try and cover their position with the Swedes, and the Russians are just
leading, just staying between the opponents and the mark.
They are not so worried about the wind shifts, but they're still doing a good job and they're still keeping the distance. Swedes now attacking, probably with some interference from the Greek.
Greek is taken.
Attacking back to the right to protect from the Swede.
I think
Swedish team. It looks like a little puff on the left there, but from here the sailors can see much better than us. So the fleet coming downwind now, it's the mixed teams.
And obviously no one of the men wants to go too much between the sails of the boat coming down, because this will shadow the wind from a long time. So as much as they can stay in clear air, it's much better. Okay, apparently the first two boats of the mixed fleet are still there. Israel rounded Marcus first, and he's actually first on the general scoring, and Italy 54 rounded the first mark as third, and he is second now. France 72 was second at the windward mark. We had a spot before when
we briefly saw
the
that
camera
mark rounding.
Gave us the chance to see the mixed fleet.
So we are actually on leg number 3 of race 5, men's fleet. Still on leg number 3. Sorry about that mistake there. It's not leg number 4. The Russians doing a great job covering the fleet, covering the Greek that are coming on second.
Maybe a little bit of wind more, because now I can see that the bowmen are at least half trapezing, but the helmsman is still full inside.
Very tricky conditions in Vilamoura.
Taking in front of Greece.
Got a message here from the race committee. The women fleet on the last downwind leg to finish their race. The men's fleet going upwind for the second time. They're gonna go around the top mark into a reach and then a downwind and finally a small reach to the finish. I believe the teams are almost getting to the top mark for the second time. The wind building up a little bit here, maybe a right hand shift.
And then they have to do the reach to the mark number 2, then the last run, the last reach and finish. Yes,
So-
you're right. Maybe a bit more wind.
Bit more wind. The Russians almost at the top mark. Perfect race.
And
So
taking.
far-
Roll taking. Done. Very well.
They were challenged by the Greek on the downwind leg, but they managed to stay ahead and round the bottom gate in front and stay ahead of them, cover their position on the upwind. They did a great job.
There is
Luigi.
someone whistling. I would like to see if there is any flag for course change or Oscar or whatever, but doesn't look that anyone is moving, so possibly there is no Oscar flag at all. It's just a shift of the sprint shift of the mark.
Yes, we can hear. Yes, there's
It's
an Oscar flag. So
it's
now,
Oscar positive,
so the course is still the same,
but they are
now
allowed to pump.
To pump. So from now on.
They will be more energetic.
But when the Oscar is up, they cannot pump before they round the mark, right? Only
Correct.
after.
Correct.
Okay, it's very important to know that. So we see here the Japanese going around the mark, and Germans Simon and Philip. We see an Italian doing a penalty. Doing turns, Luigi. Something happened there.
Possibly pumping before the windward mark. No, it's 2 turns. Yeah, it should be pumping or an incident with another boat.
Okay. So the teams going now into this reach will be leg number 4 of race 5. We still haven't seen the Spanish.
Did you ever seen the Portuguese?
I haven't seen the Portuguese either. The French team, Kevin Peponet and Jeremy Mion, not having the best race also. We see a big split in the fleet, you know, all these tricky conditions. I mean, the boats that are ahead going upwind, they can choose where to go, but the boats behind,
Just
sometimes
needed to take the other choice.
sometimes they push a little bit the luck, try and find a wind shift that helps them climb up the ladder and get a better position, isn't it? And most of the time that doesn't work.
You see that now they are moving much more because they can roll the boat and pump. They are allowed to make any pump they want. There is no limit. this is changing the sailing in a very physical sport.
We're back here at the top mark, rounding. Here we go, the head of the fleet. The Russians, they pulled away from the Greeks. Also the Greeks pulling away from their opposition. I believe the Swedes still lying third and the Swiss fourth.
I gave a look to the video, to the previous video about the penalty done by the Italians, and according what I was able to see, seems that they were not keeping clear as windward boat. There was a boat leeward of them, and seems that they made a penalty because they were not far enough from them.
Okay. Here we go for the Costa brothers going around the top mark. Not looking great at this race, unfortunately, but they've been consistent. They had a ninth. They were discarding a ninth, so they will still have a good score overall. They'll be on 20 points. That will still keep them ahead of the Swiss and the Israelis. They will still be in a strong position for the Olympic qualification. We can see from this angle all the masts rocking, you know, from all the pumping these sailors are doing. I'm sorry, Lena, but we don't have anything to say about the women at the moment. I know that they probably crossed the finish line, so the results will be updated shortly.
Okay, they are updated already.
They are updated with race number 6, number
Yes.
5.
Yes.
Okay,
So actually first is Spain with Silvia and Patricia, Spain 18. The second is France 9 with Camille and Eloise. Third is Israel 11 with Noya and Shahar. Fourth is Italy with Elena and Bianca. Fifth is Germany 23 with Nadine and Anne-Christine. And sixth is Netherlands 11 with Aphrodite and Lobke. Then is Germany 69 with Louise Anastasia, and 8 is Italy with Benedetta and Alessandra.
Good job from Benedetta today, huh?
Well, they
First in
raised it
L11.
from the 20 position to the 8.
That's very good. Very impressive. Good performance from the Italian team. Obviously, we have here Luigi cheering for his girls. They did a good job today. Russian team doing a great job keeping their lead. We have some coverage over the Portuguese team, the locals, our local heroes.
There was a
Diogo.
request about to see the Portuguese team.
Diogo and Pedro Costa.
Sofia asked to have information about the Portuguese team.
Yes, Sophie has been asking. But I believe this is a coincidence because our cameramans, they cannot see the chat on the YouTube channel.
Well, but this was the request of Sofia.
Yes. For 70 class, men's division, race number 5, leg 5. The finish is not that far for the Russians, looking for their first win on this regatta. They've had the 6th and the 2nd and the 16th yesterday. They started today with a 6. So great performance today from the Russian team with the 6th and the 1st. Well, they haven't finished yet, but I can't see them lose that
Talking
lead.
about pumping and surfing, you know that if you are using the waves done by a ferry or a powerboat, you are allowed to pump and to surf also.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Now you know.
Now I know. But normally we don't have that many waves on the race course from big boats.
Yeah, but if you have a ferry, for example, or a hydrofoil passing
Yes.
even far, their waves stay for a long time, and maybe
That's right.
you can pump. Just one time.
Just
Should
one
be
time.
enough.
Yes. Still a little bit to go on this downwind leg. We can see the gate to the right of the Russian boat. They will still need to do a couple of jibes to go around that left-hand mark, and then a reach to the finish. Nice breeze holding.
Now, yes.
In Vilamoura.
Now they can really handle the boat in full.
We have here USA number 1, Stuart McNay, David Hughes. They were 3rd this morning. They were lying 4th overall after 4 races. I believe the Russians will be ahead of them right after this one. Let's see what will be the overall score for them as well. Pavel and Denis. Look at that technique, getting the sail across on that jibe, rocking the boat. Trying to keep that boat on that wave. Beautiful weather in Vilamoura today.
Yeah, we had a not so good start for this race, but now the conditions are good again. I think the female fleet is heading ashore because
They
they
are
finished
finished, yes.
quite before.
They started, they raced before the men, and there was also a little delay on the men, so they must have finished a while ago. We still have this men's race to finish. Not far to go for the Russians, followed by the Greek team Panagiotis Mantis Pavlos Kaglialis. They have a big puff there, the Greeks, and they got a little bit closer, but I believe the Russians have enough of a lead to win this race.
Yeah, they have a strong leading. And just a short leg to do after the mark.
So
Okay,
the
here
Greeks
we are
going
at the mark.
now around the mark. On the final leg, leg 6. Leg 6 of race number 5, the final leg to the finish. The Russians just about to finish the race.
You can see the finishing line in front of the Russian.
That is the
And
finish right now.
now.
And the sound signal.
Very, very good job for the Russian. Very, very good job.
I'm very impressed, Luigi. I think
too.
they've done a great job today.
Me too. They did not made any single error. They handled all the wind shift. They was heading very well. They was controlling the fleet. They was. I have very, very good regatta. Very good team.
I think so. I tried to interview them yesterday, but their English is not the best. I will try to get his coach today to say a few comments for us.
By the way, я говорю по-русски.
You can be a translator then. We see the Swiss here going around the mark. They were fourth. Going downwind, looks like the Japanese and the German got really close to the Swiss. So that this German team, we're gonna go for an interview.
Very good. Good result. I finished first.
They were quite short there because their English is not the best.
Wind very difficult. Very shifting.
Very good.
I'm back here after the interview on the Russians. They did a great job. They managed to stay ahead. They had a good start. They made the right calls on the first beat. That gave them the lead on the top mark. And they were very... So that's it for today. Thank you all for watching. It was a great day on the water. 2 more races in Vilamoura. We are now with 5 races. We will be back tomorrow for more action on the 470 World Championships Vilamoura 2021. Thank you all so much and see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.